It's amazing, really, to hear all of your voices collecting together. And I was so touched by one of the choir members before we came in, said this is their favorite moment of the whole year. How special it is that you lend your voices to us. And I didn't realize how important it also was to you, so thank you. Thank you so much. Before I begin my talk tonight, I would like you to take what happened today and kind of throw it away. I did have a couple of people say, I don't think I can make it to services tonight. And I want to take us back to last Monday night. Anyone there at Bill Stadium Monday night or watching on the TV? Yeah, apparently I made it on ESPN. I didn't know whether to be embarrassed or excited. I really am not sure. Okay, good, yeah. But Bruce said I had my shirt on. Last Monday night, on this cusp of the first Buffalo Bills home game, that was the first time I'd ever been to the stadium when it was completely filled. 60,000 fans, apparently, on their feet, wildly cheering. Number 17 emblazed on half of their backs, our beloved former quarterback, Jim Kelly, riling up the crowd, and a mysterious figure filled the big screen of the stadium. For those of you who have been fans since at least the 90s, anyone here? Okay. I'm sorry. His visage was unmistakable, a beacon of hope, a reminder of glory days past, one of the most renowned figures in our Jewish sports canon, an adopted Buffalonian, our coach, our hero, none other than the professor himself, Mr. Marv Levy. Everyone see him there? It was incredible. Despite now just being 3 years shy of 100. He looked every bit the part of the coach who served for over a decade, more than 2 decades ago. And with the camera pointed at him on that big screen, he called out in a strong, clear voice, you know what he said? Where else would you rather be? Right here, right now. Indeed, where else would we rather be than right here, right now? This may not be Highmark Stadium, but after 30 months of pandemic, it is good to be back here. It is good to see everyone's faces here. It is good to see each other, to see one another, and to spend time together in person. To start our new Jewish year, I'm going to let you know what it is for your checkbooks, okay? 5783, so don't get confused. 5783. I would like to offer a few more Marvisms. If you don't know what a Marvism, Marv Levy was not only famous for his coaching ability, but also for his ability to turn a phrase. His wisdom, and I know Bruce appreciates this because you're very pithy, his wisdom, like the wisdom of our sages, is at once insightful and endearing. We're adapting them a little bit to our synagogue environment. Here are Pirkei Avot, Marv Levy style. Marvism number 1. All the buildup and hype, everything else is foam. Our games are the wine. I changed it. Tonight on Erev Rosh Hashanah, we may not have beer, but we have wine aplenty, and I see it there in our Kiddush cup. We fill our Shir Shalom 10th anniversary cups, and those of you who came in today received one of these wonderful packages here, which was a surprise to me, so thank you. And this is a wonderful one. It says, Shir Shalom 10th anniversary. How wonderful. So we fill our 10th anniversary cups with wine to the brim, and we say, L'chaim, to life. We think back on all the hard work and preparation that led to this moment. The spectacular moments of this past year and the sad ones as well. We hold all of these in our hearts, quelling and consoling at the same time. According to tradition, our wine should not just fill the glass, but overflow it. It's in recognition of the many blessings that are overflowing in our lives. However, as we know at Congregation Shir Shalom, these past 2 Rosh Hashanahs, our cup over there has been empty. Empty because sharing wine felt unsafe. Empty because drinking together just didn't feel right. Empty because there was no one to share our joy with. Tonight, it is empty no more. For the first time on Rosh Hashanah since 2019, we have a full cup, and we say together, L'chaim! Marvism number 2. If Michelangelo had wanted to play it safe, he would have painted the floor of the Sistine Chapel. Every year before High Holy Days, I have a choice to make. Do I give you an easy sermon? One that sounds nice but doesn't push us out of our comfort zone. One perhaps a variation of what I've given before. One the congregation you want to hear, but not necessarily the one that we need to hear. And every year I come to the same conclusion. No. Every year Cantor must make the same calculation, maybe holding back a bit with her voice or choosing an easier song. And every year she too comes to that same conclusion. No. Every year our board has to decide, what are we going to do on high holidays? And every year we take a chance and we say no. We must all lean into our discomfort. Our collective vulnerability is important. To change requires risk. And when one of us takes a risk, all of us are encouraged to do so. This past Friday night, just a couple days ago, we watched 4 women, Sharon, Renee, Audrey, and Ruth, stretch themselves past what they ever thought was possible, reading Torah with trope. The past several weeks, we've had 3 B'nai Mitzvah students. We had 4, right? We have Max and Talia, Peyton, and Hannah. I know we have Peyton over here. All of them who took turns leading a service, reading Torah, and speaking from their hearts as 13-year-olds. Amazing. A month and a half ago, almost 24 of our congregants traveled to Eastern Europe together. Raise your hand if you are among that group. For many in the group, this was the first time they had traveled since before the pandemic. In the past 6 months, we've had 6 people, Ned, Sean, Joella, Francis, Cameron, and Everett, who have made their way into Judaism to become Jews. Think of all the moments that you took a risk this year, reaching out to someone you were afraid to talk to, saying sorry to a loved one, traveling to a place you had not gone before, visiting someone who needed support, taking on a new role or a position, learning a new skill. We may not always succeed, but we should always try. Marvism number 3. What it takes to win is simple, but it's not easy. For inspiration this year, I thought, because our work is hard, I thought of all the individuals who have been with us year after year after year, giving without question, showing up without being asked, lending a hand whenever they possibly can. I see them showing up for Shavetta's barbecue, acting as service greeters, attending services, communal events. They have been here so many times it is impossible to count. They practically have chairs here with their names. The synagogue community may be important to them, but they are incredibly important to our synagogue community. to show you just how many of you are like this. Let's do this by standing up, actually. Okay, those of you in this community who have been here for our full decade as a congregation, who stand up. Okay, remain standing if you have been here in not just in Shir Shalom, but in our preceding congregations or in other congregations for 20 years or more. Remain standing. Peyton, you're not old enough yet. So. What about 30 years or more? 40 years or more? 50 years or more? I know over here, Marty and Ruth, I got it. Anyone 60 years or more? Okay, how about 70 years or more? Just a few of you. Amazing, amazing. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and from all of our hearts. Without you, we wouldn't have a community together. In addition to them, I thought of all the newcomers, all those people who have entered into an unfamiliar environment and brought joy and love to everything that we do. So let's now, people that have become a part of Shir Shalom congregation in the past year, if you could stand up. How about in the past 2 years? 3 years? 4 years? 5 years? Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Without you, we wouldn't have community. You may be seated. The Bills may have a mafia. We have a mafia as well. You make our hard work easy. Marvism number 4. When it's too tough for them, it's just right for us. The real secret to everything we do at Shir Shalom is the fun. Instead of seeing obstacles as obstacles, we see them as challenges. This is how we have survived the pandemic, and this is how we have thrived at a time when many synagogues are folding. In your lives, embrace challenge. Encourage one another to take chances. Take chances yourself. There is nothing better than watching one another as we learn, grow, and change, no matter what your age is. For my final Marvism, I present you not with a saying, but with the man himself. Marvism number 5, Marv Levy. Before he was a head coach, of course, he is a human being, a glorious one. He was born in 1925, the eldest child of Ida and Sam Levy. Ida was a smart and vibrant Jew who fled Russia as a young woman. Sam was a World War I vet who had enlisted as a 16-year-old, lying about his age, and served in the Marines, fighting in the famous Battle of Belleau. I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry. And receiving a Purple Heart for bravery. By day, Sam worked transporting produce from rural farms into the city of Chicago, where they lived. Their home was in the south side of Chicago. And the only thing I know about the south side of Chicago is from the famous Jim Croce song, Leroy Band. It's the baddest part of town, right? Not the easiest place to grow up. But for Marv, it was a place of camaraderie, where people of all nationalities, races, and ethnicities, Jews, blacks, Italians, Irish, Greeks, and Scandinavians, bonded together. His parents wanted more for him than being a produce salesman, and so anytime he would bring his broom into the shop to help out, they told him to go play football. He was apparently very fast as a child. He would win every race, except I think he ran against this guy, Buddy, who eventually beat him, but that was it. And he was studious, always with a book. When he turned 18, he enlisted in the Army to fight in World War II, hoping to be a fighter pilot. But if you've seen Marv Levy like me lately, his eyes aren't so good, and so he got a desk job. After the war, he used the GI Bill to go to college, eventually ending up at Harvard Law School. That looked to be the trajectory of his career, what every parent dreams, right? Until he caught the coaching bug. You can imagine he called up his father to tell him his decision. There was a long 30-second pause on the phone. He wasn't sure what his father would say, and eventually he said, "Be a good one." His first assignment was at Coe College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Before his official first day, the head football coach at the school, Dick Clausen, sat Marv down in his office and asked him a few questions. He asked him to name his coaching idols. Marv thought about it and began to rattle off a list of famous coaches like Bear Bryant, Vince Lombardi, Paul Brown, Woody Hayes. "They are outstanding coaches," Clausen taught him. "But if you try to be like any one of them, you won't be. And I'll tell you something else. If you do that, you won't be Marv Levy either." Marv Levy looked at his mentor confused. "Just be yourself," Clausen told him. What wonderful advice. Coming from a profession that often values a loud voice over a kind heart, Marv Levy treated his players, his staff, the reporters, the fans, and everyone he came in contact with the utmost respect. He is a mensch. We saw this in our good times, celebrating any one of his 123 wins, and in bad times as well, mourning the losses, particularly the ones in the Super Bowl, putting his arm around Scott Norwood and singing a Scottish fight song. As Reb Zusha, the 18th century Hasidic master, once said, "We are not called on our holiest day to be anyone else. We only need to be ourselves." Look around our room today. We may not have 60,000 fans here cheering in approval, but we have our fellow community members, my heroes, your heroes, the ones who wake up every day to make the most of this life we have been given. And that alone is enough to make me want to shout. All right, ready? Hey, 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 Shana Tova, to a sweet, new, happy, and healthy new year.